Get them in 10-minute increments here. Okay, go ahead.
Well, he was driving a gas truck back and forth to Mexico, and this particular day, nature began calling. So he shut down his truck, went up on the little rise and back by a bush, and nature was working in pretty big, and he looked around, a big old rattlesnake about this far from his bare hind end. He just fell forward and scrambled out of there. Did you ever hear that one, Ron?
There's a fence. He crossed the fence with his pants around his ankles.
He told you guys the story of which cop used to sit out here and wait for people to come off the hill. Tell that story.
Schoolcraft, was it?
Oh, and it was way years before.
Not ready.
Remember the one where he threw his hat out the window?
Don't have that. I don't know that one.
No, it was way before Rennie. It was one of the older cops out here that would, you know, coming down that hill by Brian and Brian's place.
Yeah.
You get going pretty fast, and if you're driving a truck, there's so much weight, you break the speed limit, and, you know, that's just automatic. But there was one cop, there was a sign there. You know how you used to have big signs on the side of the road, they're illegal now, but he put his car behind that sign so that nobody would see him, and those truck drivers coming down, then they'd come down the hill, and he'd be ready to give them a ticket. Well, Dad had seen him do that a lot of times, I guess, and so when he came down that hill, waited until the guy had kind of fallen in, and then he just threw his hat out the window and slammed on his brakes. And I don't know if the guy slammed into him or what, but I thought that's a pretty clever situation, because rear ending is generally the guy in the back of his fault. I don't know. I forget how he ended his story, because he didn't ever end them. He painted you the picture, and that was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you had your mind then to figure out what happened.
Well, the chauffeur's license used to be a medal, like a little police officer badge, about this tall. They don't give them anymore, but that was last a lifetime. And I got my driver's license when I was 16, and about 12 or 14 years ago, I found the old license. It was good until revoked.
Oh my gosh.
And I was driving in Phoenix one day, and I exceeded the limit. This guy pulled me over, and he said, "Could I see your driver's license?" I said, "Yes." Had that one with me. I handed it to him. I said, "Here's my license." He says, "That's not my license." "It is. It says good until revoked." I said, "It hadn't been revoked yet." It still cost me $20 or something. But they had a little medal, like a little badge that they would wear on their hats as a rule. And that was a chauffeur's license.
Huh.
And that was an honor to have somebody drive it. You know, those drivers are the most courteous drivers on the road.
Yeah.
One none.
Huh.
There's a story about that I can throw at you. Ross might have been there, maybe not. We were either up on the Four Drags Ranch or somewhere around Big Lake, and there was a little breechy cow. We somehow got the others settled down or put in a pen or something, but this breechy one, we couldn't get it in. Now, you remember old Buckshot?
Yeah.
Dad had I think he had that big old nice new saddle, and he was trying to rope that dang cow. I believe Phil was there, and you probably weren't there, Ron. But he'd run that cow and try to rope and miss and run her back and forth, and I don't know, I think he finally wore her down where she couldn't run anymore, but he could not rope the cow. He wasn't a roper.
Well, he roped a bear, though, didn't he?
Yeah, I roped a bear.
Roped a bear.
Well, here we go.
We've got pictures of
Yeah.
at the house of a bear in the back of the truck. Laverl can tell you this one.
Yes.
You tell it, Ross.
They were building fence back up toward, I think, Baldy. And they'd spend a week up there, and Dad would come into town every once in a while and get some food from them. They had an old flat rack with the wooden side that you could stick them in the sideboards, and I think it's one of the Slade boys probably roped a bear. Just a small one, but it was big enough to scare the dickens out of them. They roped that thing and put it in the back of Dad's truck, and there were no cattle guards at all coming in from that direction. But it was almost dark when Dad left the area to come into town, and he'd get out and open the gate and then drive through, and every time he had to suppose he look in that bear's eye, look out the back of the truck, look at him, growl at him and carry on. It was tied up, but made no difference because you couldn't tell. It was getting dark. He finally got out here, I'm not sure where it was, but he got tired of looking at the bear in the eyes. He tied the rope to the fence, drove off and just dropped the bear and just kept on into town.
I think he got trouble with the Fish and Game on that
I
one.
think he did.
Yeah, they found out who it was.
Might have been sent to Carl Haas for finding.
Yeah. Had a year that he couldn't do anything.
I'll tell you one about Gramps Eager that I wanted to verify.